Oh, had my key here.
Good morning, and welcome to the Todd County Board of Commissioners regular board meeting. Today is Tuesday, September 3rd. The time is 9 a.m. All commissioners are present, along with our auditor, treasurer, coordinator, and county attorney. We'll now stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, and I'd ask if there's any amendments to the agenda.
I have none, Madam Chair.
If there are no amendments to the agenda, I'd ask for a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion by Denny, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Nazca. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Denise, consent items?
Consent items today are meeting minute approval, August 20th and 28th, 2024. Resignation of Public Works Summer Help Brandon Klein, 8/16/2024. Resignation of Public Works Summer Help Travis Muller, 8/19/2024. Accept resignation of Aaron Gould, Part-Time Correctional Officer, 8/16/2024. Accept resignation of David Detterman, Part-Time Deputy, 8/1/2024. Hire Mari Van Heel, Administrative Assistant, start date 9/4/2024. Accept resignation of Laura Bundy, Full-Time Deputy, 8/20/2024. Retirement, Public Works Maintenance Foreman Paul Siegel on December 2nd of 2024. Hire paraprofessional case aide Kimberly Santana, start date to be determined. And there's a gambling permit for Swanville Innovation Schools Project 11/2/24 is when the event will be held.
Okay, I'd ask for a motion for approval of the consent items.
So moved.
Motion by Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion? I think we should thank Paul for his many years of dedicated work to Todd County.
Absolutely.
31 years, is that correct? Okay. Okay.
Absolutely.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Denise, we'd go into the auditor warrants then?
Yes, auditor warrants for August 2024, background was sent for your review. The recommendation is to approve the August 2024 auditor warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling the amount of $4,099,130.88.
Okay, is there a motion for the auditor warrants?
So moved.
Motion by Nazca, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call?
Commissioner Nazca?
Yes.
Commissioner Denny?
Yes.
Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item would be the commissioner warrants. Background was sent for your review. Recommendation is to approve the commissioner warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling the amount of $95,445.15.
I'd ask for a motion for consent for the commissioner warrants.
So moved.
Motion by Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Nazca. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call?
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Nazca?
Yes.
Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
Commissioner Denny?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
The next item is the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants. Background was sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling the amount of $65,947.03.
I'd ask for a motion for the Health and Human Services Commissioner warrants.
So moved.
Motion by Byers, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call?
Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
Commissioner Denny?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Nazca?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
The next item we'd have then is the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants. Background was sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling the amount of $33,432.89.
I'd ask for a motion for the Health and Human Services SSIS warrants.
So moved.
Motion by Byers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Nazca. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call?
Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
Commissioner Nazca?
Yes.
Commissioner Denny?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item I have then is the county fee schedule hearing date. Background is Todd County is in the process of updating the county fee schedule to be implemented for 2025 and is required by law to hold a public hearing to gather any public input on the proposed fees before adoption. Recommendation is to set the county fee schedule public hearing for October 1, 2024 to begin at 9:15 a.m. in the County Commissioners Boardroom and instruct all appropriate legal notices to be generated and published accordingly.
Okay, is there a motion to set a hearing date of October 1st, 2024 for the county fee schedule?
So moved.
Motion by Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Byers. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
The next item I have then is the transfer of funds, county ditch inspector hours. Background, the assessment cycle for the county ditch expenses closes annually on June 30th. The tracked hours of the ditch inspector's work on specific ditches is accumulated and requires transfer as an expense to each ditch system on an annual basis to align with accounting standards per the county board's past practice and resolution. Recommendation is to approve the attached resolution to transfer $5,005 from Fund 40, County Ditch Fund, to Fund 1, General Revenue Fund, County Ditch Inspectors Department, which is this time the county ditch worked on county ditches per the attached list. So it is a budgeted item, and I have the attachment with the lists that shows her hours and what she worked, the ditches she specifically worked on.
Okay. I would ask for a motion of transfer of funds from the county ditch for the county ditch inspector's hours.
So moved.
Motion by Nazca, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
And then I will go right into the Finance Committee one, which is the fiscal year 2025 funding reduction in the new Long Prairie Shop Savings Account. Background, during the preparation of the county's fiscal year 2025 budget, it was determined that the reduction of the required annual savings deposit for the new Long Prairie Shop Savings Account would be in the best interest of the county to reduce the overall financial impact to the county's local levy. Options are: 1, to adopt the resolution for fiscal year 2025 funding reduction to the new Long Prairie Shop Savings Account, or do not adopt the resolution. It is the recommendation to adopt the resolution for fiscal year 2025 funding reduction to the new Long Prairie Shop Savings Account.
Okay, I'd ask for a motion for the fiscal year 2025 funding reduction to the new Long Prairie Shop Savings Account.
So moved.
Motion by Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair. It says a reduction. Did I miss the amount? Or
It's $219,000 we put in annually.
It was 219.
It was it's on the resolution. I just pulled up.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any further discussion or questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Okay, next is the innovation funding annual update.
Initiative Foundation.
Good morning.
Morning, Madam
Morning.
Chair. Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Thank you. Always appreciate just having a few minutes of your time to give a quick update on the Initiative Foundation's activities. I was wondering if green meant on or red, or I wasn't sure if I should push that or not. Always hesitate to push the big red button, right? You never know what that's going to do. Thank you. Again, thanks for a few minutes of your time this morning. Always love to give a quick update about what the foundation's been up to here in Todd County, and you have your county fact sheet as part of your packets, and I just always like to start in kind of the bottom right-hand corner of that first page where it says economic impact. If you scroll down just a little bit, there you see right there, economic impact. These are numbers, of course, as it says 1986 to present, but you can see the total number of grants and their dollar amounts, scholarships, the total loans that we've participated in, jobs created or retained, outside dollars leveraged as a result of those lending projects, and the number of county-based charitable funds we have active here in Todd County. And so, of course, those are since 1986 to present, and I just have a few more recent numbers that I could update you, give an update for. Recently, just in the last year, we've awarded 40 grants in Todd County for a total of $385,000 in 2023. A lot of those grants are flowing out of the charitable funds that we have listed here. A lot of that activity was also related to I think we have finally completed the Main Street Economic Revitalization Program here in the county, specifically in Long Prairie. I think there were 14 projects as a part of that, about $480,000 total grant dollars put into that economic revitalization program there. So that's a big chunk of those grant dollars, but still lots of good activity from the charitable funds and the foundation's own grant dollars. We've been able to give a few grants to a couple cities recently for some feasibility studies, et cetera, projects like that. So happy to continue to support that great work. And then I would also say in the last 3 years, in terms of grants, you see 153 grants for about 1.1 million total. If you look at just the last 3 years as a snapshot, that would include all of that economic revitalization program, some big grants in partnership with the Otto Bremer Trust, and kind of the finishing up of some of those deed grant programs that we have facilitated, Promise Act and some remaining COVID grants, et cetera. So a lot of activity in the last 3 years, and still good activity just in 2023 as well in terms of grant making. Next, just always like to talk about our revolving loan fund. It's probably, I think, one of our strongest resources for the region. We always deploy our GAP or our loan fund as GAP lending for projects. We don't try not to compete with financial institutions. Generally, those banks and lenders come to us and say, we have this great project. We'd love to see it happen in this rural community. The bank or financial institution's a little uncomfortable with carrying the entire project with the foundation, fill the gap. And many times it's a bank, SBA, EDA, and the Initiative Foundation. Whatever that gap is that's needed to push that project across the finish line is how we like to deploy those funds. And so you can see 74 loans total in Todd County since 1986. We have 3 active right now, a total of about $350,000 in lending, and 1 new loan on the books in Todd County this year as well, just closing in the last several weeks. I'd just like to remind everyone, the biggest barrier to our revolving loan fund is a lot of lenders and financial institutions just don't know about it as a resource. And so to continue to help us spread the word when you can. We hate to hear about projects that didn't happen because they couldn't find a gap in that financing. We're always more than happy to do what we can to lend dollars and fill those gaps. A couple other last just quick updates. We continue to work on access to affordable childcare projects. Access to affordable childcare is a complicated issue, and we're still trying to do our best to convene community stakeholders, identify challenges, help identify some community solutions, and then find grant dollars from outside the region or our own dollars and try and give those childcare solutions projects, some feet and some funding to move forward. We have hired a full-time access to affordable childcare program officer that is working on that issue full-time all across the region right now, and we hope to make even better progress in the upcoming years. But like I say, it's complicated, and I think everyone knows that. But again, if the county were to identify solutions or options, we would love to hear and see what we could do to support and help, so keep us in mind. Another project that we're working on that we're very proud of, we were able to secure funding from the Center for Disaster Philanthropy, and we're going to be hosting one-day training sessions for city administrators from small rural Minnesota communities so they can get in a room with experts and professionals and refresh their disaster preparation and recovery plans together. We'll be doing one for Todd, Wadena, and Morrison counties together in November. We've been coordinating with the emergency managers from all those counties to put together a great day of training and pay stipends to get our city administrators from our rural cities to be able to attend, really have, I think, some good energy around that event, and a lot of folks saying they're really going to find it beneficial. So happy to have be doing that as kind of like a further bit of support for some of those rural city administrators. And we continue to offer support for entrepreneurs, and specifically here in Long Prairie, we're still running cohorts of our Enterprise Academy program. They're in partnership with the Chamber. We just had 14 graduates in June 4th, I believe, of 2024 from an Enterprise Academy cohort here in Long Prairie. Again, just trying to support these folks in launching businesses or determining whether or not business ownership is something that's a good fit for them. A lot of these folks go on to start businesses or support local businesses. It's been a really robust program. I know they have another cohort planned for 2025. And again, those folks receive ongoing technical assistance, coaching, and training from foundation staff as well. Real happy to continue to offer that program as a support here in Long Prairie specifically. And I think I would just make one final update to say a lot of our funding for entrepreneurship support has been restricted to entrepreneurs of color, BIPOC communities, and we're happy to see more of that funding coming and with less restriction. So we're hopeful in the upcoming year that we're going to be able to provide more training for entrepreneurs in rural communities without some of those call them demographic restrictions that funders sometimes like to place on their dollars. So we're hopeful that we're going to be able to offer even more training and technical assistance for people who want to start businesses in rural communities all over the region, and really excited about the possibility of that, and hopeful that in the coming year and in the coming years, we're going to be able to provide even more support for entrepreneurs across the region. I'd leave it at that for my report. Be happy to take any questions if anybody has any.
Do you see a lot of people coming in that are wanting to start businesses now within the Todd County communities?
Well, you know, I think it's my understanding that you have a strong Hispanic community, and there's a lot of entrepreneurial drive there, people seeing a lot of opportunity to start, businesses. I think most of our cohort here in Long Prairie has been a lot of Hispanic entrepreneurs. I know it's offered in Spanish and in English. Because that funding has been restricted to some of those groups, that it has to serve BIPOC groups or underserved demographic groups, I think those are the folks we've been serving here mostly. And again, hoping to see kind of a loosening of those restrictions where we can open all that up to more and more folks.
Okay.
But
Do you see growth in the northern part of the county also?
I don't think so, not so much in the northern part of the county. A lot of the feedback that I've gotten from folks out in, let's call it the corners of the region, is they would like to see training for upscaling existing businesses across the region, that folks have strong businesses in some of these rural communities, but to take that next step to really upscale that and expand your service region or, whatever that might look like, that is something that folks would like training and assistance for. And so we're hoping to target some cohorts in that direction as well. So maybe it might not be pure entrepreneurship starting new businesses out in some of these regions, but again, looking for the kind of things that folks raise a hand and say, this is the training and technical assistance we'd like to have, and then how can the foundation come in and kind of support that?
Because it's really sad to drive down main streets and you see empty buildings, that
Absolutely.
used to have businesses in, and it'd be really fantastic to get businesses back in there
Yeah.
again in the
Yeah.
local towns.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Well, thank you for the work you do. We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Great, and thank you for your support. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hit this green button now.
Nancy? Good morning, Nancy.
All right, I have one agenda item today. So it's County Ditch 42 tile repair change order. Background, the attachment one, change order form number 1. The County Ditch 42 tile repair was approved by Board Action 2024-0702-16. The tile repair project has been completed and a change order is needed for the difference in contract price. The increases, the records of the tile line replaced by the DNR as part of their Center Lake Restoration Project in 1988 are not clear on how many feet of tile was replaced in 1988. The estimated length needing replacement was 1,680 feet. The actual length needed was 1,760 feet. Number 2, additional land clearing with excavator and dozer was needed beyond installation. The decreases, there was no removal of 100 feet of concrete tile because the tile crumbled when touched and was so buried, and so was buried. Number 2, instead of one 24-inch connection and one 36-inch connection, 2 24-inch connections were needed. Number 3, no charge for cut, cap, and bury of the inspection pipe. The original contract price was $62,772.40. The total increase with the change order is $1,644.40 for a total contract price after approved change order of $64,416.80. This is a 2.62% increase. Cale Van Bruggen, ditch attorney from Rinky Noonan, said change orders that are not more than 10% of the original contract price are allowed by 103E ditch law. Options are approve change order or do not approve change order. The recommendation, the Todd County Board of Commissioners approves the following by motion. Acting as ditch authority approves change order number 1 for County Ditch 42 tile project, quote number 6054, invoice number 2748 for contractor Ag Tech drainage. Financial implications, $1,644.40. Funding source is the County Ditch 42 assessment roll, and budgeted is no because it's coming from the County Ditch assessment roll.
Okay. With that, I'd like to have a motion for County Ditch 42 tile repair change order for the amount of $1,644.40.
I'll move to approve the change order, Madam Chair.
Okay, motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Noska. Discussion? You came pretty close for estimating.
Yeah, the original DNR paperwork said 400 feet was replaced in that 88 project, and it turned out a little bit less than 200 feet was actually replaced. So I was going by the estimate of the prior county engineer that he had come up with was 1680, so.
Very good.
But yeah, it was close, so.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Nancy.
Good morning, Lauren.
Morning.
Item on the agenda this morning for Public Works is a request to set the fall road meeting. No, it doesn't seem like summer is over. School, kids are back at school, so we're here to request setting a meeting date. I have a bunch of dates listed there that would work for Public Works, and historically, the fall road meeting is held at 9 a.m. at the Long Prairie Shop this time. So with that, I open up for the board to let us know what date you'd like to come on out.
Okay. I ask for dates preferences. Any suggestions? I know some of the earlier ones might not be so good. Do we usually do it in November, Lauren?
Yep.
27th?
27th? I
The
can't do
27th?
27th of November.
Well, when is Thanksgiving? That'd be the day before?
That's the next day,
I can't do the 27th.
28th.
No?
Okay.
Okay.
Can do,
We can go earlier, I guess. We can, the 20th.
20th, yeah, 20th.
20th would work.
Works are here.
Gets us away from Thanksgiving and out of deer season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Department head meeting would be the Wednesday before that, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
In the
20th?
construction industry, Commissioner Nazca, deer hunting is called Holy Week,
Got it.
just so you're aware.
Thank you.
I'm hearing the 20th, November 20th.
Yeah, I think that'll work.
I would need a motion then for that. Set the Public Works Fall meeting date be November 20th at 9 a.m. at the shop in Long Prairie.
I'll make a motion to set the fall meeting date for November 20th at 9 a.m. at the Long Prairie Shop.
Okay, I have a motion by Nazca. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Byers. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Thank you, Lauren.
Excellent, thank you. And just I wanted to make a quick note, update on the County Road 14 Bridge project. The bridge is out and they're starting driving pile today. So anyone that lives in and around that area might hear the pile driving hammer. We'll try not to do it too early in the morning.
I've
But
already,
progress is moving forward on that project.
I've already been asked, when's the approximate completion date, Lauren?
By contract, they're obligated to have it done by November 4th or 5th, I believe. So
Okay.
at this time, barring any issues, should be able to meet that goal. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mike.
Morning, Mike. I have two board actions. First one is the accepting of a $2,500 donation to purchase fast deploy pouches. Background, a donation of $2,500 received by a anonymous donor to purchase fast deploy pouches, which would include tourniquets and quick clot in case of a triage situation. Our options are to accept that $25 donation for the fast deploy pouches or do not accept the donation. And our recommendation is to accept that $2,500 anonymous donation for the fast deploy pouches.
Okay. I'd ask for a motion for the acceptance of a $2,500 to purchase fast deploy pouches.
So moved.
Motion by Byers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
And my last board action is accept the matching grant from Sourcewell for ballistic shields. Background is the Sheriff's Office applied for and received a matching grant for the purchase of ballistic shields with a 25% match required by Sourcewell. After board approval, the Sheriff's Office will purchase 11 lightweight 3 rifle-rated ballistic shields for a total price of $62,315, with $50,000 covered by the grant. Our options to accept the grant and purchase the shields, or do not accept the grant and do not purchase the shields. Our recommendation is to accept the grant to purchase the ballistic shields from J5 Reserve Supply for that total of $62,315, with $50,000 covered by the Sourcewell grant, and that funding will come out of our public safety aid.
Okay. I would ask for a motion to accept the grant from Sourcewell for $50,000, I believe it was, and for the purchase of ballistic shields.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Okay, motion by Nazca. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Second by Byers. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Thank you, Mike. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning.
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 Just the one item today is for Barry's Wooded Acres final plat, an application for a subdivision to create a single 1.85 acre non-repairing lot on parcel 24,003,6500 in Turtle Creek Township was submitted on May 14th, 2024. The preliminary plat was approved by the Board of Commissioners on June 18th with the following conditions. 1, new accesses from the township road shall be approved by a local township prior to installation, and 2, that the applicant abide by all other applicable federal, state, and local standards. Planning and zoning has completed the review of Barry's wooded acres and determined that it is ready for final platting. Options are to approve the final plat as presented or deny the final plat, and the recommendation is approval of the final plat as presented to formally establish Barry's wooded acres.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the final plat of Berry Wooded Acres?
So moved.
Motion by Danny. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Nazca. Discussion.
Yes, Madam Chair, township approved the driveway?
I don't think they've gotten to that point yet, but I don't know the answer to that. If they do, they have to meet that condition of township approval. So I don't know if there's even a driveway in or not yet. I know their plan is, what they're doing with this is splitting off the existing building site, and then the remainder is what they're planning to build on, which would be outside the platted area. Regardless of this condition, they need to get township approval on that road.
Right, but we're doing the final plat
Right, but the
approval, and
location of the new driveway would be off the platted area.
the condition should be met if we're doing a final plat.
Right, and they'll have to meet that condition before doing it, but again, the location of any new driveways, because where the platted area is an existing building site that they're splitting off. I don't know if their intention is to sell it or keep it or whatever, but they wanted to build an additional dwelling site. The new dwelling site will be off the platted area.
Doesn't matter to me. What I'm voting
you help
on is the
explain
final
that?
plat.
But, yeah, Adam, but there's not a required driveway on this one right now. So if they
Right.
were to put one on there, then they have to get township
And-
approval. So there's no,
Yep.
if they're just sectioning it out, they're not requiring to put a driveway on it.
It's a condition.
Right, but the CUP doesn't exist until the township approves of the driveway, if they want a driveway.
But we're approving the final plat, and if the condition ain't met, I'm just saying, think about it.
Further discussion?
Well, I think the condition here is new accesses from the township. So if they don't need a new access, the township doesn't need to approve anything.
Right.
Which this building site already has its access. The platted lot has its access. It's the other lot that's not platted, that's separate from this completely, that may need an access.
Right, and regardless of this,
So why is it a condition on this plat then?
Why is it a condition?
it's common for us to do that. They need to get township approval, or I shouldn't say just township, road authority approval, whether it's county, state, township. They need to get approval for those driveway placements. It's common for us to do that as reinforcement of those rules. But regardless of the condition, you still need to get that approval, even if it wasn't a condition.
But we're approving the final plat. That's my
Right,
point.
and
My
they-
point is, we're approving the final plat, okay? And that's one of the conditions. That condition should have been met before we approve it.
Right, and the platted area has the established access off the township road already. Any new accesses would be outside, or if the plat area, if they want to put a secondary driveway in or something, they would need to do that. The reality is they could build years from now, but not build the driveway today. But they may want to sell this portion or something for whatever reason. So I can assure you that the conditions are being met for the platted area.
I'm just reading what it says, and I'll just vote no, so.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
And approved or carries.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. Solid waste, is Mike here? But I'm wondering if we're running a little bit ahead.
Yeah,
I think he just went out to look for Mike. No,
we're 15 minutes ahead.
Did you send an email or anything, saying it's gonna be late? So did Mike send an email or anything?
Yeah, Madam Chair, for what it's worth, I did review it, and
okay,
it's it's fine. So if it were just to be read into the record, I
Okay.
think the commissioners would.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and,
Sure. Credit card or credit account policy. Background was the solid waste department utilized credit accounts for many of its customers. The attached is a draft updated policy and letter of correspondence to customers to better clarify expectations and procedures to credit account users. This proposed policy is intended to protect the county from account holders that do not pay. The department has reviewed this with the solid
Denise,
waste.
Chris McCon is just walking in.
Oh, okay.
There he is.
I'll let
All
Chris,
right, we'll let him finish.
hi, Chris. We're actually running ahead of schedule.
Way ahead.
You can go up. I just started reading. Yeah.
Come on down, yeah.
I just was reading the background, so you can continue with the background.
Thank you. So what sentence?
Just read the
Just
background.
go ahead, start from beginning.
You're just reading the background.
The solid waste department utilizes credit accounts for many of its customers. The attached is a draft updated policy and letter of correspondence to customers to better clarify expectations and procedures to credit account users. This proposed policy is intended to protect the county from account holders that do not pay. The department has reviewed this with the solid waste and policy committees, county attorney and auditor, and board of commissioners by work session. So the options are to approve it, and the approval would be effective March 31st so that we could give the businesses time to apply for the new policy. Or the other option is to not approve it.
Okay, with that, I would ask for a motion for the solid waste credit account policy. To be in effect March 31st of 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the revised credit account policy effective March 31st, 2025.
I have a motion by Nazca, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion.
You might, to slow your meeting down, I could talk for a while longer.
Yeah.
No, you're
No.
okay. You're doing fine.
Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
With that, we'll go into closed session 13.1. The commissioners will hold a closed session pursuant Minnesota statute 13D.05 subtitle 2B to consider allegations or charges against an individual subject to its authority. And the time is 9:38, but let's take a few-minute break before we go into closed session.
Perfect.
All right. Background is that an investigation has been conducted concerning the complaint on employee number 923. The findings from this investigation have been carefully reviewed and communicated to the commissioners. The options are to terminate employee number 923 for just cause effective September 3rd, 2024, or do not terminate.
Okay, I would ask for a motion for just cause termination.
I'll make the motion to terminate employee number 923 for just cause effective 9/3/2024.
Okay, I have a motion by Byers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Nasca. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
And motion carries. With that, we'll go into closed session 14.1, and it's negotiation strategies. The commissioners will hold a closed session pursuant Minnesota statute 13D.03 to consider strategies for labor negotiations. And the time is 10:18. Okay. I will now reopen the meeting. The time is 11:01, and we're coming in from a closed session with negotiation strategies. I have Jackie, do you want to read into record?
Okay. I will. So regarding our board action form with an update on the Gallagher class and comp study. The study's findings have not been favorable for our employees. The compensation study used comparables that did not align with the terms of our agreement with Gallagher. Additionally, the classification study failed to incorporate the position description questionnaires that many of our employees, along with their supervisors and management, work diligently to complete. Instead, Gallagher has used an unclear process that they have been unable to adequately explain. Given these issues, the final product from Gallagher is not appearing to be in the best interest of our employees.
Okay, I would ask for a motion of, at this point, with the Gallagher study, a recommendation moving forward.
Like I said, move that we serve notice to Gallagher that we would give them the 60-day notice that's required with the contract to terminate our services with Gallagher based on our findings. That suffice.
I have a motion by Byers. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
A second by Nasca. Discussion. I guess as board chair, I'd like to make the comment that we did not believe we were getting a very good study back. We do not believe we got the class part of the study back for our employees and watching out for our employees. Hopefully, we can move forward in a very positive direction. Any other comments?
I would just add that Gallagher used a market study and did not use comparable counties to work our study, comp study.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries. Thank you. With that, we'll go into standing reports. County Auditor Treasurer.
Currently, we're just working, today is mobile home tax statements are due today, so hopefully we'll see some people paying those up, and then we're just really busy with election. Absentee voters, getting ballots out, getting them prepped, and I will be moving into going to AMC in Arrowwood with you guys next week, and then in 2 weeks, I will be at the Minnesota GFOA, which is Government of Office of Financial Office Associates, couple-day conference there at Arrowwood again. That's about all I have to report.
Okay. County Attorney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our office is busy with a variety of matters. Our criminal cases, juvenile cases are steady. We're still looking to add an assistant county attorney in our office, but otherwise it's business as usual. Thank you.
Thank you. County Coordinator.
I attended a meeting with the DNR in Battle Park Point at the Public Works Building. this last week. Also attended an insurance renewal meeting for Human Resources, worked on data for the elected salary setting, submitted a safe and secure courthouse grant, hoping that comes through. Also attended a meeting to discuss the state affordable housing aid funds that the county has, and then also finally attended a land use training event put on by MCIT in St. Cloud that also included cannabis business licensing guidelines and information.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners? Commissioner Noska?
Yeah, out of the ordinary, went to that MCIT land use thing with Jackie in Way Park. It was very good. Had a lot of information regarding cannabis ordinance, CUPs, open meeting law, some of those things. So no, it was a very beneficial training.
Okay. Commissioner Byers?
Oh, I think last week we had closed and open session last Wednesday, and then facilities on Friday. That's been my activity since our last board meeting.
Okay. Commissioner Newman?
Yeah, on the 19th, before our last meeting, I had a JD2 meeting in Millers Bay. On the 20th, I did a Sauk River Watershed meeting. 26th, personnel. 28th, we did the board meeting. 29th, we did finance. And then on the 26th, we had personnel. So it's been a lot of meetings the last couple weeks, so.
Okay. Commissioner Danny?
Besides the ordinary meetings and committees, I've just been spending a significant amount of time visiting with public about our last closed sessions, about debris on the road right away and whatnot. So I've been following up with that. Other than that, that's the only new thing.
Thank you. And for myself, on the 22nd, I attended the District 8 Township meeting, was able to welcome the other townships into Todd County for their meeting. I had facilities on the 23rd, personnel on the 26th. The 28th, we had our special board meeting. 29th, I had finance. And the 30th, I had Zoom with EMS, our regional EMS meeting. With that, I'd ask for a motion to recess until September 17th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Byers, second by Newman. Discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
And we will be recessed till September 17th. And are we ready to go into work session, or do we have to, I don't see that Adam's here.
I just saw him walk by over there.
Did he? Okay,
He's up here on this level.
okay. We'll go, unless you guys need to have a break or anything, we'll go
No.
right into work session.
Let's go.
Okay.
He's out there. He's coming.
Okay. Hi, Adam. Yes, we are.
Okay. My first topic for discussion here today is the proposal from Region 5 about the rewrite of our county comprehensive plan. This was a thing we had briefly discussed, and I was directed to reach out to Region 5 and see if we could get a quote on what it would cost to have them be our consultant on it. So that's the document that was included in the packet there. You can see on, I don't know what page it actually is, page 3, 4, maybe page 5, 6, page 6. I don't think it has page numbers, but you can see the deliverables from Region 5 of what they would be providing to the county. On the page prior to that, the total cost anticipated from Region 5 to complete all those deliverables, which is just short of $20,000. Am I getting ahead of you? Oh,
It's like
it'd be
page
down.
7. It's page 7, they're page
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah, there's not page numbers. Yep, so
Yeah.
what that page you're getting to there at the bottom, that's the estimated cost to complete the work. And then the next page after that has the deliverables of consisting of developing local planning teams, facilitating meetings, and ultimately the drafting of the comprehensive plan, which they're referring to as a comprehensive energy and environmental plan. And then the terms and conditions are on that last page, and ultimately to adopt this, we would take it back to a county board meeting to adopt it or approve it. Savannah would be our consultant on this, Savannah Winkler. She was hoping to be able to call into the meeting today, but she had an 11 o'clock meeting, so she wasn't able to attend. So any questions or concerns, comments, whatever, I am prepared to jot them down, bring them back to Savannah, and we can certainly bring this to another county, to another work session. Savannah did also note, if you look at the timeline of this, I believe it was February of 25
Right.
was the anticipated start time. But she did mention that if we are eager and prepared to go, that timeline can be moved up. If we have everything in place to do that. Now, the last thing I wanted to mention also is that Sourcewell does have funds for third-party consultants in the amount of $20,000 per fiscal year per organization. And I don't believe we have anybody that's claimed those from Todd County for this year. If it does roll over into the next fiscal year, we can reapply to finish paying for the rest of it. So the good news is if we want to get this going, we can essentially have the whole process paid for by Sourcewell. And I've checked in with Sourcewell already. Well, Jackie, we don't have anybody that's claimed these. That was the one thing to check on. And they said that obviously Todd County is an eligible organization, and this particular project would be eligible for that group of funding. So just looking for input and obvious any questions or anything, I am prepared to bring those back to Savannah, and maybe we can get her here for a different work session, or I can try to get any questions or comments answered to and bring them back to a future work session.
I guess my only comment is we worked with Region 5 through the water plans. And we've worked through several different water plans, and they've done an amazing job. Very, very, very well-written plans, very easy to read. I mean, and they worked with multi-counties through those water plans, so.
Yep. Yeah, it's been great experiences with them. They've done a bunch of water plans. What Region 5's involvement has been in those is less of the plan writing and more of the meeting preparation and facilitation, where this would be more comprehensive. They'd be doing that facilitation, but also plan writing. But I've been really happy with them. I hadn't worked with Savannah. I believe she's relatively new there, but I'm expecting a good product from Region 5.
Okay.
Yeah, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Well, I guess it kind of sounds like, I don't really have any questions about this process. I mean, it looks like, it's a good idea to have it any way we look at it, and we should probably make a decision before the end of the year so we can utilize the funding from Sourcewell this year and next year and not have to deal with anything out of pocket.
Adam, when was our last comp plan written?
I believe it was adopted in 2009, and it is due to be replaced before 2030.
Okay.
That's due.
It's due.
time.
It is.
Yep. And we have an
I know
opportunity
I was
here.
involved in the last time they wrote this, and they had a vast majority of outside people come in and put their input towards this comp plan, so. Okay. Oh, how do you want to handle, try to do a work session on it again? Try to get Savannah in here?
Yeah, if she would attend, that would be great.
Yep.
Kinda
I
give
can
us
reach
a
out to
little
her.
more than nuts
Yeah.
and bolts on what they'll offer us, and
Yep. Yeah, I'm glad to do that. I'll try to see if we can get her here for the next work session. And if it's okay with the board, I'll move forward to apply for the Sourcewell funding, because they won't do a formal review of this is eligible until you actually apply. So I can get that done between now and that next meeting and maybe have an answer on that front officially also then.
Okay,
sounds great.
sounds good, Adam. Thank
Easy
you.
enough.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, ready for the next one?
Yes.
Okay, next, so we wanted to, following up from the public comments from, I believe it was last commissioners meeting related to the solar ordinance. I just wanted to bring this back to the surface to have a discussion about it. And the Burscheit family is here if you wanted them to come forward and talk about some of the things that.
That's fine, this
Yeah.
is just a work session, so it's more informal, so
Come on
we like to
up.
have all the,
Yeah.
I don't know that I have anything. I just kind of wanted to be here.
Yeah.
But hopefully you're okay using your situation as an example. You know, it gives us a specific scenario to talk about what the issue is here. And ultimately what this is boiling down to is in the rewrite of the solar ordinance, there's a section here about areas where solar farms are not allowed to exist, and one of those being on agricultural lands identified as prime farmland as defined by the United States Department of Agriculture. But I believe the intention of that was really good. Farming is the main thing, and Todd, like that's what the county is based upon, and the intention was to protect those prime farmlands across the county. Now, in Bill's example, what's ultimately happened is he's looked for places to place soil across his property, and I suspect he wouldn't be alone in this, is that with so much prime farmland out there, you get to an area where you can only place these solars in bad areas, such as maybe erodible areas or large tree removals in order to get solar farms out there. And as an unintended consequence of that is, are we gonna end up with solar farms in bad areas where if we could open this up, we would have to sacrifice some of that prime farmland, but would they be more appropriately placed? And that's really what the discussion is boiling down to, is do we need to open this back up? We can get it through that planning commission process and have a discussion about it. Maybe look at what some neighboring counties have done also. I know that other counties have this prime farmland piece in their ordinance, but maybe they're handling it a little bit different, but just do a more comprehensive review of that section. We just wanted to open up the discussion based on Bill's scenario here, so we can hopefully prevent some of those unintended consequences of that.
Commissioners?
I spoke with Bill about this last week a little bit, and he made a very valid point that, you know, the only place on his property that was, I'm gonna say, desirable by the solar company.
That meets, yes.
Yeah, that met where they wanted to put it, but also met our ordinance, was a place where he would have to deforest something, you know, a large acreage of forest, which we don't want to lose that either, especially, you know, in the southern end of the county, we don't have a lot of forest. So it's one of those things where we're trying to do really good by saving our farmland, but we're also not doing ourselves a favor by allowing the only places to utilize for solar to be somewhere where they would have to either deforest it or have impacts to other, you know, important natural communities that we have. So, I mean, I'm not saying that we need to change our ordinance, or if this is something that we should address on a case-by-case basis through a variance or something like that, or how we should go about it. But, you know, it's something we should really look into where we actually will allow this, so.
And I would just kind of double down and reiterate that we've been through this more than once. We've been approached 4, at least, or maybe 5 times, and we do own over 1,000 acres. And so when we go across those acreages, it rapidly becomes pigeonholed to areas that I don't think we really want it. And so I think, I don't have the answer. I'm not sitting here with the answer. I'm not even sitting here with an argument. What I'm sitting here saying is, I think it needs another look.
So
Go ahead.
I just have a question. What is the definition of prime ag land in Todd County? Because we have 1,000 acres, and I can assure you, we have some that produces very well and some that produces marginal. And so when you have the statement of prime ag land, what is the definition? And maybe that would help resolve some of the conflict here. Again, I honestly haven't looked at your policies or definitions or anything. It's just one of the thought process where I'm going, I bet if you talk to any farmer, he's gonna say, I wouldn't mind taking that sandy little spot there, but if the county has listed as prime ag, it's not an option for solar.
So I believe that is a question for USDA on what actual prime farmland is, because they had someone take the soil types that were given and say that certain soil types are prime farmland and certain soil types aren't.
Right.
Now this the soil survey that they've got, we can all look online and find out what they determine as prime and whatnot. But there's not been any ground truthing been done on most of that. Most of it's all done based on a standard model. So,
And how old are the surveys?
you got me
It's
on that
just
one.
Yeah.
I don't have the answer.
Yeah,
I just
and-
have questions, which I'm
Yeah.
really good at questions.
Yeah, and it is a great question, and
Fine.
there is a definition.
Isn't that defined in our comprehensive plan, 2009 prime farmland?
I don't have the comp plan in front of me.
swear it
USDA
is.
though, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know how
Yeah.
we need
You
to
know,
change
You
that.
go into our current comprehensive plan, I believe it'll say prime farmland. And the reason I brought that up is the fact when my parents wanted to backlot our farm in Leslie Township, we got our butts drilled because we were taking prime farmland out of production. So,
And I'm going to agree with Randy. I think it is itemized in the comp plan. I do believe I remember seeing it there as I go through. But I think what we're probably looking for is a more finite definition that we, we have this blanket description of prime farmland, and perhaps we need to break that down to soil types, or maybe include
limit.
topography, or there's maybe some other factors that we need to include as we limit and or allow. I think that needs to go both directions.
right.
And I think it's so interesting because 10 years ago, some of these sand farms were absolutely, you couldn't raise anything on them. Now it's all irrigation. So now all of a sudden, does some of this lighter acreage become prime farmland? Because of what they can, with fertilizer and water, what they can grow. So it's an ever-changing,
Absolutely.
And the tiling.
yeah. And, well, yeah.
They can keep creating, turning terrible soil into good soil. I mean, that's maybe, instead of looking at specifics, areas, we should look at maybe a percentage overall, like a percent of owned acres could be utilized that way. You can use a desirable location, whether or not just this 40 acres is prime farmland. That way, if you just had a percent of what could be allowed, that would give you some flexibility maybe. I don't know, just a thought.
I like, the flexibility, that to me is, important. If I have, like I have 40 acres out by Lake Beauty, and they approached me on solar. Unfortunately, we don't have the right electric out there, the right poles, and it's lower, tamaracks, and, great for shooting deer, but not for solar. But I really don't want to be limited in what I can do on something that I paid for, that I pay property taxes for also, within whatever the regulations are. Now, that being said, there's regulations on how much cement you can put on in certain areas and things like that. That idea of a percentage of the property might be a good angle to look at it and see, the other counties do that, or, whatever, so.
Maybe a percentage with a cap or something,
Right.
So somebody could own 50,000 acres and,
right.
we give them 10% of that or something. That might,
You're right.
that might get kind of nasty.
Yeah.
Did the solar farm ever come in from Wadena County coming south? Did we ever hear from them?
I have not heard from them in quite some time, and I think this is potentially the reason that we didn't. In having conversations with them before this solar ordinance, they had said that changing this ordinance to include that part may put an end to that particular project. I can't confirm that that's the case, but I have not heard an update from them on the Todd County side.
And I think I've talked to a couple too that have sent me mailers, and it's like they want to do these particular companies want to do 20, 30 acre, is what they were kind of looking at for size wise. I'm sure there's ones like the one in Wadena that could be thousands of acres, but, I guess.
I think just one more comment. I think economics needs to be considered, and not that economics should be the sole driver of this, but I think when you look at it from a higher level, most of these solar projects are in one way, shape, or form subsidized. And so we as taxpayers from Todd County are subsidizing projects that at this point in time are not coming back into Todd County. It's a one-way flow of our tax funds at this point in time. To finish that up, if you'd pursued it at all, you're perhaps aware of the rental dollars involved, and they are substantial. And so
Crazy.
from that standpoint, I think it's an asset that we need to make sure that we're not locking ourselves out of, but yet managing.
Yeah.
And so Having said that, I did tell Adam last week, we are pursuing a project at this point in time. And I would just say, keep in touch with Adam in regards to our project. If there's any comments, critiques, anything that you see that you like or don't like, we're open. This is an open book to us. And I think that's been my approach from day one on this thing. As it was the fourth or fifth time, I wanted to see where the roadblocks were and why this was not going, because it does represent dollars, not just to myself, but on a wide base.
Yeah, Bill, and you and I spoke at that MCIT meeting here last week, and we also talked about the tax revenue we could bring in as well. You know, you put a large solar field on there, that makes that property valued at a lot higher dollar value, because they put I don't know how many millions of dollars they put into a solar field to put it on the ground, but that assessment on that property's got to go way up. And as you stated to me, that the solar company is the one who pays that.
Correct.
The additional taxes that you would pay, the solar company takes care of that.
Yes.
So it's not coming out of our landowners' pockets, but the solar company's pockets, bringing it back into our tax revenue. So it's one of those things where you can, I mean, we can see some advantages to opening it up and getting some of it on the ground, but and to another point as to where we can utilize it, I mean, I would think there'd be a soil scientist out there somewhere you could have that verifies that your soil maybe isn't prime farmland in this location, and maybe we could use that as a case to say, okay, yeah, we can allow it there.
Now, Adam, I can remember going to a meeting at Ward Township about 2 years ago.
Yep.
This discussion was,
Yep.
we were having this discussion.
Yep.
And not too much grew out of that meeting, actually.
Right, and a lot of, if I remember right, that was a while ago, that a lot of the discussion was around this topic and the need to protect prime farmland. But I think
Yep.
drove a lot of the conversation here, but this is the other side of it.
Was on the dollars it could bring into the county, too.
Right, yes, we did, there was.
And within the school districts and so
Yeah.
forth, yeah.
Yeah, and there was some unique examples that they had of how the solar stuff works in Indiana or Illinois or something, which really, I looked into that a little bit. It didn't apply to our situation, but that.
I think another one of the big topics on that was also the disposal of them when they've hit their life expectancy.
Yes.
And that's still a big question mark.
Who takes care? From what I understand with your contract, potentially would be that they are responsible 100% for the recycling or disposal of those as soon as they're out of their
When the
life
contract
use.
is-
Correct. And I would say, just to kind of double down on that, I think landowners, if you've been approached already, Mr. Byers, you'd maybe understand, it maybe would be a very good thing to have some support of some sort, whether that comes out of the zoning office or what office it comes out of, so that we do maintain good, equitable contracts for the landowners in the county, not that we end up with people being taken advantage of.
The one I saw was that the property owner was responsible for the disposal. Well, in 20 years or 30 years, I don't know what it's gonna cost to, the federal government may say, I gotta put these things, I gotta ship them to Mars.
Right,
Well, I don't know Elon Musk, I can't do that,
right.
so I don't know.
I always find that a little bit confusing. They said they're responsible for disposal, or the company will, but sitting on the solid waste committee and the Prairie Lakes board, both of those garbage companies basically have no idea how to dispose them. They don't know what to do with them. We've been talking about it for
Yeah,
a year, almost 2 years.
And you could maybe economically make a lot of money, but I was worried in 30 years, I'm gonna have these things stacked up to the roof, who's gonna buy my property with a bunch of used solar panels sitting on it? Nobody's gonna wanna buy that property.
So
I don't know.
it's just- Right, and I'm just saying that it's just concerns at all of our meetings.
You're saying they don't know how to dispose of them or what they're gonna do yet?
Correct. But we've had nothing given to those businesses about how to do it, how to care for them, what to do with them, and it's a big question mark on the proper disposal, which hopefully somebody can answer eventually.
I actually kind of intrigued by your idea, Tim, and in lieu of the capping, it's kind of intriguing if you had a certain percentage.
The percentage
With a
part of it.
cap based on land classification, or, there's, to me, there's a little meat behind there that you can maybe, you could start out at a certain level, potentially, and after some time figure out, well, this is okay or not okay.
Right.
Because you go down by the old Sherco plant between whatever, their Becker and whatever, I mean, it's just that monstrous field of solar panels. To me, it's kind of, oh, that was just a beautiful field at that time. I'm thinking, that doesn't look so good. But then you go down to like Maple Grove, the Arbor Lakes area, and that power company down there, their whole parking lots, you park underneath solar panels. I mean, that doesn't bother me at all, you know?
Right.
It's already an impervious surface.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
I think the other question, at AMC a few years ago, we had a session on solar panels. One of the other questions was electricity out, so you have to have the availability to move the electricity out of your area, correct?
Correct, and as Mr. Byers mentioned, that does limit a lot of the acreage or the parcels that would be amicable to solar in the county, is the electric grid or the electric infrastructure that we have available frequently is not able to take electricity being put back online. In the case that we're working on right now, the solar company is actually looking at the cost or taking on the cost of upgrading the substation for MP&L that the solar would be going into.
Yeah, Barb, I looked at some land out here in 71 about 3 months ago. Just specifically, I kind of thought, well, maybe this could hold solar. Because I saw some of the numbers, but the problem is this particular spot didn't have the right grid power coming in.
Yeah.
Now you could, and if you want to, you can try to work with the two different companies. There's one maybe half a mile away, but the power companies are very they're never going to work with each other. They want every inch of their power line and the cost. So there's, if you see three, whatever you call them up there, you're okay.
Yep, three-phase power, yep.
You see one, you're in trouble. It ain't working.
Spot
Yeah.
on.
So there are a lot of things to consider, but
Yeah, it would be interesting even to put this in front of your planning
Yeah.
board and ask, what their input would be
Yeah.
with changing some of what's written down as far as, prime farmland, far as percentage. Tim, you sit on that board downstairs, so, I mean, yeah.
And that would be the next step of the process if we want to make some amendments, is to get this on that planning commission agenda and have the public hearing and all that good stuff and have the discussion on it. So if I'm hearing correctly, is that's the direction we should go. It doesn't lock us into changing anything, but it at least lets us have that informed discussion about it in a public setting.
I personally don't think it would hurt to have that
I think it's an
further discussion on
it's
this.
an opportunity. But of course,
Right.
I've seen where
Yeah.
I've done a little.
Is
work on
this something we can address though with the variance rather than changing ordinance, or is it not?
And it might be something we can.
I'm just asking,
yeah.
because it takes a little time to adjust that ordinance. If somebody wanted to move forward,
I sit on that board, actually, and.
then you don't get to vote.
Anytime you have too many of any one issue come before that board, and I don't want to steal your thunder here, but anytime you have too many of one issue come before that board, it represents a need for change in the zoning so to answer your question more directly, upfront, certainly. It is a step that's going to scare a lot of people off, perhaps not with time, but upfront it will, where you say, it doesn't meet the ordinance, but you could go sit before the board and get a variance. A lot of people aren't gonna take that step. There's one more point I was gonna make, I forgot.
I don't know what it was either.
I don't know, the whole variance thing to me is the thought, I mean, I kind of, seems to me like then you're always bringing subjectivity or you're bringing the one-offs into this thing and somebody's gonna say,
But you get to condition it.
yeah.
And there's a good point. I mean, going the route of variances, it gives you an opportunity to condition each application individually. It gives scrutiny to it.
The conditional use process for a solar farm would catch that also.
Yeah.
And that you could,
Yeah.
so,
By going through the planning and zoning board, it's gotta go through that board, it's gotta come through this board. By going through your board of adjustments, it just goes through either you give it or you deny it. And it's strictly your board. Where the planning and zoning board, there's ways we can go back and rediscuss it and, you know.
Right.
Well, the other thing that was brought up though from even Winona in that area was, is it ag or is it commercial? And so the guys come in and said, well, screw this, we'll just put goats and sheep
Both,
in
yeah.
there because now it's ag. Because we're feeding our livestock next to the solar panels.
I think it's called
So
agriculture.
there's a difference there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I mean, that's a total thing now. Agriculture, I can't remember the term for it, but it's, yeah.
And the other thing was liability. There was an individual that was up in Briarville that got approached. And when they hired an attorney and stuff and started really digging into it, they were expected to put insurance on those solar panels, even though they were on his farm. He had to insure the solar panels.
I'll let Julie address that.
Why are you letting me address that?
Okay,
We-
yeah.
We've
We've
researched
gone-
that.
We've
been-
researched that, we've had the discussion, you were actually in on it, I was not. We had our attorney, our insurance provider, and two of the contractor and his manager, and we did a conference call to work that all through. And the response from our insurance guy, when they said, we've had done this for 12 years and never had an issue, our insurance provider said, I don't care about the other 12 years, I care about Julie and Bill. And so we negotiated the contract to cover those issues.
Right, because with 2-inch hail this year, we'll do a little
There are
damage
some
with them
hold
solar
harmless
panels.
clauses and things like that in there that need close scrutiny.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I wouldn't, it'd be very unwise for just, without to have, not have representation, I would think, because, you know, it's probably like trying to go through
You don't just want to
science
sign
book
off.
and written in Chinese or
Right.
something, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And to your point too, what you mentioned earlier about having it go through the planning and zoning office, that way people are protected and they can, you know, look at what they're being proposed for a contract and like, this is not gonna work for you, this isn't protecting you at all, you're vulnerable in every way, shape, or form. I think that's something to really consider too, just, so we're not putting people in bad positions.
Right.
Well, commissioners, where do you want to see it go through planning and zoning once?
See what their
Okay.
thoughts
Okay.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you have it go
Sure.
through planning and zoning and see what they're thinking and, you know, the
Yep.
positives and negatives and then bring it back to a work session. Yeah, let us know what's going on.
Sure, we can get that on an upcoming agenda and have that discussion at least and see where it leads to.
Yeah.
Ideally, this comprehensive plan would be done in order to do that, but that's just not the case right now. So
Yeah.
we will get that on an upcoming
But,
agenda
you know,
then.
going into the comprehensive plan, it'll be something that we will be noting in
prepared
as we go
Absolutely.
working through this.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Real good.
right.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Guys, yep, thanks.
Yep, thank you much.
Where are we at? Okay, Denise.
Alright, so we'll be presenting, or I will be presenting the preliminary 2025 budget and levy discussion today, and, we'll just start off, and I'm not gonna read each key point, but just so you have an idea, two members of the finance committee happen to be the chair and the vice chair, so they work diligently with us, all through this process. We start after the audit is presented by Clifton Larson Allen, that ran a little later this year, we like to usually start end of May, ended up actually being in July when we started. Thank you for reminding me. And so we were behind the 8 ball a little bit in getting going, but we met diligently several times. And some of the economic factor or the expense factors that affect the budget going into this year planning was just economic impacts due to inflation. And we're all feeling that at home. You know, running in a county is like your checkbook at home too, because cost of living and inflation with the heat, the power, phone, such items like that are continually increasing, so those are the things we had to look at. The employee compensation and health insurance. And as we heard earlier, we were kind of hoping for that comp study to be done and complete so we could analyze how that would affect the budget. But moving forward, we'll just have to work through that. And then some capital building improvements that we have going on. Everybody knows about the transfer station and the rock wall. And thank goodness some of those offsetting costs came through grant money or ARPA money, which helped, but the county coffers did chip in for those expenses as well. And so the finance team, we sent out all the budget forms to the county department heads in June. Let them get working on them and get them back to us. And so then our first round of actual department head call-ins were July 10th, July 15th, and July 16th. We sat down with every department head, went through their budget, let them explain where they're at, what they needed, where they thought they could make cuts, where they, if they did have an increase in the budget, they gave us justification as to what it was, you know, and sometimes it's unforeseen things like computer subscriptions going up, that's inevitable. Things like that that just in day-to-day life are increasing, and so they weren't anticipated, so those were a little higher. After we analyze that, we bring them back, we do a round two with them. If the chair and the vice chair feel there's somebody else we need to call in, we'll do that, and we did that on August 14th and 29th. Revisited with them, and you'll see that currently our budget is at $21,266,875, which is a 6.22% increase from last year, and the levy is coming in at 6.96 increase from last year. 7% basically, but when you start this process in June, July, and we're at high 50s, and then CPA comes in and offsets that, thank goodness it does, because by the time we make all the cuts, if we did not have CPA, our levy would be 18%. And so, you know, we do work really hard at making cuts, and I commend the department heads. They do their due diligence as well. And so we're at the point now today of the finance team is presenting this and for your review. Looking ahead, we also have to realize that legislative proposals may create unmandated, unfunded mandates, and so that's why we're happy to have a healthy reserve, because we knew the CARES money, the ARPA money would be coming to an end, and all that money that they gave, we did spend wisely, but in essence, the state turns around and then says, oh, we're gonna throw these mandates on. You know that money that we gave you? Now we want you to do additional reporting. Now you have to do this, now you have to, which again is time and money. And then also the economic impacts due to inflation may continue to affect us with cost supplies in years ahead. I just give this scenario from my home. I bought lawnmower blades for a riding lawnmower a year ago to almost to the date of the month, and those lawnmower blades went up $14 a blade in 1 year's time. So I'm just using that as a perspective, and when that's just in my home life. If you look at the county and how many dollars are spent just to maintain this business, there's where you can see where the supply of cost and demand. But this is the preliminary budget as of September 3rd, and it shows our budget and where the increases and decreases came. Moving forward, you know, we can always regroup, and if you guys ask us to revisit with department heads, my recommendation is there's only 3 large departments in the county, and that's Public Works, Sheriff's Department, and HHS. All your small budgets, they're such small line items, you know, they might have a phone expense and the wages. That's all. I mean, their supply comes out of general supply, so those are the only areas that we would be looking at. Again, here that $2 million of CPA really helps offset that. And like I said, what's next is we could revisit. We're running out of time because we'd like to present this at the next board meeting for approval, because we then at that time need to set the T&T hearing for time and location, because my office will need to start prepping those statements, which is like a mini tax calc that takes time. And then we have to have it submitted to the state by September 30th. So from the 17th to the 30th, That gives myself and my staff time to get this all updated, every line item, so that it's able to be sent to the state on a timely manner. I don't have anything else. It's pretty self-explanatory. Like I said, we've met lots. I've also sent an invite out to the other 3 commissioners that don't sit on this, that they're invited to come in and look at the budget book line by line, if they wanted to see where we made the cuts and where we could make more cuts if possible. I don't know, I feel like we've gone through it really diligently this year, even though we had a short span of time just due to the audit being so delayed, almost by a month and a half, 2 months, that I think everybody came in cutting and making their cuts right away. They didn't overinflate or overinstate their budgets. Does anybody have any questions?
Is there an option for you to send, is that stuff only in your book, or do you have a file copy you can send, a digital
Everything
copy?
in this book would have been those finance notes that Jolene sends you after each finance
Yeah,
meeting.
okay.
So if you look at all of those, it'll tell you every, we could send you a copy of all of this. It's just,
Pain in the ass?
Oh,
well,
it's huge.
it's huge.
I understand.
I could though. I mean, I
Oh,
might probably have
I'm
to
not-
see if
I'm not
MIS
taking your
could-
book home with me, obviously, but.
I'd have to have them condense it somehow, but, yeah.
Jolene does good notes after every finance meeting.
Well,
what
yeah,
we've looked
I read
at,
hers,
yeah.
but I mean,
Yep.
it-
No, and I
it's not all
appreciate
compiled together, you know?
No,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's, these tabs are each individual fund that gets paid out, and then they have a whole
Right,
sheets in there of everything
right.
that they budget for. And then it does show what they originally were in '23, what they actually spent in '23, what they budgeted in '24, and then where we were at when we did this, like at, you know, the second quarter. And so that's how we analyze it. So, you know, if you're not in the finance committee meeting, how I want to explain it is, it'll show what they had, what they actually budgeted, what they actually spent, and what they're asking for now. So then we can say, hey, you know, you had 2,000 in your phone budget, but it looks like last year you only spent about 1,000. Do you think we can cut that back? That's how little we go down to. And they're like, yeah, I think we can try that. Let's take $1,000 off. Every $1,000, $10,000 where we can find does add up. Because like I said, when we started this process, we were in the high 20s as we go down and we make cuts. And then we find out final numbers from CPA and all the outside entities that we allocate for their budgets. And we implement that in here. That's how we got down to the 6.96, is it? Yeah. So that's where we are now. And when you set the preliminary levy, you have to remember that's set in stone. You cannot go up, you can go down by December. And to offset this, we could look at, and we have done in the past, using reserves to offset that 6.96 if you wanted to make it lower. Something to think about for the September when I bring it forth. If you wanted to make that lower, you could. There's money in reserves to do that. And we, like I said, we've done it in the past. We don't like to make that a practice because, like I said, if there's unfunded mandates that come through, that could affect us. Or some unforeseen, you know, like we had these roofing projects we did that, thank goodness we had ARPA to offset those huge amounts. And other financing that we did look at was like that $219,000. Instead of just continually setting that aside, we asked Lauren again this year, can we hold that back this year? Because that'll offset this. And he said, yes, we still have that savings account established, and that's why today in the board meeting, I brought forth that board action to amend that for
Right.
this year.
I feel we have enough in that savings account for Lauren if he finds a piece of land that he's able to move forward on that. And then
Right.
from then on, you'd have to budget for the building. Any questions, commissioners?
If you have any questions, you can give me
Yeah,
a call
I
or stop
really
in.
highly recommend you go down and sit down with the book and,
Or if you have questions, you can call
Yeah.
too. We can walk through it over the phone if you don't have time to go through it with us, but,
okay.
okay.
Anything else to be brought in front of the work session? If not, we will close the work session for today and be recessed.
Oh, God. It's almost noon.